Cessationism today has multiple streams of influence. One is one that I can really respect, where the reformers were reacting against some forms of medieval mysticism, like Luther said that there were enough nails from the Holy Cross to shoe every horse in Saxony. You know, obviously, there were a lot of fake relics floating around. And yet, sometimes those were contact points for faith, and God used them for healing, and some of the reformers could recognize that, but they, for the most part, they were reacting against the abuse of miracles. Catholics would say, look, we have all these miracles, what do you have? And you know, that was an understandable reaction, but they had the same reaction against missions. Catholics did missions, so Protestants didn't do missions. You know, you can overreact. And in time, though, I think what made cessationism much more prominent was the Enlightenment, especially the radical Enlightenment. You know, the early Enlightenment thinkers, like, well, most of the early Enlightenment thinkers believed in biblical miracles. But because many of the English Enlightenment thinkers who believed in biblical miracles didn't believe in the Catholic miracles, they were very open to something like David Hume coming along and saying, well, you know, all these evidences for miracle claims are spurious. You can't accept them even if there's medical documentation for them. And consequently, I think that really spurred on cessationism, made it a lot more common. And yet, God still did miracles, even with people who didn't necessarily believe in miracles. So we have these stories among some Puritans who were cessationists, where, like, scripture was being read about Jesus healing a disabled man, and somebody in the congregation who had been disabled for years suddenly got up and walked. And these things happened periodically, and they didn't really have a category. They said, well, we believe that miracles have ceased, so maybe we'll call this not a miracle, we'll call it a special providence. But you know, in practice, it was just another name for the same thing. So rationalism did have something to do with the spread of cessationism, and yet, even among cessationists, through much of history, there's some discomfort with it. Most cessationists today are more nuanced in their cessationism. They wouldn't say God doesn't do miracles today. They would say God doesn't always do miracles through particular people, and I am not a cessationist, but I agree with that. So today I think there's more basis for dialogue on these issues than there was in the past.